The president, at least on social media, has been somewhat silent, dating back more than 15, 17 hours. And I only ask because with all the things going on, Russia and Stormy Daniels, usually he likes to communicate directly with the American people. He has chosen not to. Is that part of a new strategy that the White House is employing, or is it just the president taking a break?
Look, the president's still been incredibly engaged. He gives us messages to come out and deliver on his behalf on the regular basis, but he's also put out a number of tweets over the last week, and I think you can expect that he'll continue to do that.
Sarah, one very quickly to follow up and then one on this census. To be clear, he continues to deny the fundamental charge that she has, which is that she had this sexual encounter with him in 2006. He denies that?
Yes, the president has denied those allegations.
And on the census, Sarah, what do you say to critics who argue that ultimately this is a way to target immigrants, that it's going to be fewer resources for immigrant communities?
Once again, I would argue that this has been practice of the United States government. The purpose is to determine individuals that are here. It also helps to comply with the Voting Rights Act. Without that information, it's hard to make those determinations, and that information needs to be gathered, and it has been part of the United States Census every time we've had a census since 1965, with the one exception of the 2010 census.
But there's a sense that ultimately this is going to disproportionately affect blue states. Do you acknowledge as much when you talk about voting rights?
I think that it is going to determine the individuals in our country and provide information that allows us to comply with our own laws and with our own procedures.
This ultimately determines how resources are allocated. So doesn't this mean fewer resources are going to be allocated to immigrant communities? That's one of the big concerns.
No, I mean, I think we have seen this in practice before, and this is something that the Commerce Department feels should be part of the census. And for anything specific and further information, I'd refer you to them.
Sarah? I wanted to ask about the president's tweet over the weekend about the military building the wall. And I'm wondering if the president believes he can reprogram funds from the Defense Department for wall construction without a vote of Congress, or if he's asked anybody at the White House to examine that, and what military programs that were included in the omnibus that he could see cutting in order to pay for what he says is a defense priority in the wall.
Yeah, I can't get into the specifics of that at this point, but I can tell you that the continuation of building the wall is ongoing, and we're going to continue moving forward in that process.
I want to follow up on that and then something else you said earlier. But did that tweet this weekend, does he mean that he wants the military to pay for the border wall? Can you speak generally to that?
Again, I'm not going to get into the specifics of that, but I can tell you that the wall is continuing to be built currently, and we're going to keep pushing forward until it's fully completed in the way that the president feels is necessary to defend the country.
And isn't it true at this point that Mexico is just not going to pay for that wall?
I'm not going to go beyond what the president's already said. I think he still has plans to look at potential ways for that to happen.
You had said earlier that the president gives you messages to come up here and convey to the American people. Have you sat down with the president to talk about Stormy Daniels? What has he told you that he wants us to know about this topic?
As I just said, and as we've addressed on a number of times, the president has denied these allegations, and I don't have anything else further to add on that front.
You've also called him a counterpuncher many times. Why has he not punched back on this one?
Look, the president, I didn't say he punches back on every single topic. If he did, he would probably be addressing a lot of the stories that most of you write every single minute of every single day. He also has a country to run, and he's doing a great job with that. That's why the economy is booming. ISIS is on the run. We're remaking the judiciary. He's focused on pushing his agenda through. Sometimes he chooses to specifically engage and punch back, and sometimes he doesn't. Yeah.
Sarah, on
That I'm aware of, Dave, just one time.
I still don't know that I understand why the president's response has been so different in this case. On October 13th, 2016, he said these claims are all fabricated. The next day, he said, I have no idea who these women are, they're lying. Mrs. Trump has said he will push back 10 times as hard, no matter if you're a man or a woman, he treats everyone equal.
Why the silence? Is someone advising him to be silent, or is he following his own
I don't think
advice
it's
here?
silent when the president has addressed this. We've addressed it extensively. There's just nothing else to add. Just because you guys continue to ask the same question over and over and over again doesn't mean that we have to keep coming up with new things to say. We've addressed it. We've addressed it extensively, and there's nothing new to add to this conversation. David?
Sarah, most people, the former President Jimmy Carter said on CBS that most people want to see a president with some basic moral values. What sort of reaction does the White House have to that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear the last part.
What sort of reaction does the White House have to Jimmy Carter's statement about most people wanting a president with basic moral values?
Look, I think that the people of this country came out in by the millions to support Donald Trump, support his agenda and the policies that he's pushing forward. And he has been delivering day in, day out on that front. He's kept a number of his campaign promises, and that's only been within the first year and a half. I think the people that voted for and came out and supported him still do so, and do so because they believed in the agenda that he was driving, and he's been delivering on that since he came into office.
Ambassador Nikki Haley said in reference to Syria that Russia cynically negotiated a ceasefire it instantly denied. You say the only way we can cooperate with Russia is if they change their behavior. What about their actions recently speak to them changing their behavior?
I didn't say they had changed their behavior. I think that's why you're seeing the United States, along with over 25 other countries, step up and take action, and why we expect to see another of other countries follow our lead on that front. John?
Sure. Thanks a lot, Sarah. Back to the border wall, which of course was one of the president's biggest campaign promises. $655 billion has been earmarked for defense spending in the omnibus spending bill, and the president appears to believe that he can take some of that money to build the border wall with Mexico. Is the president aware that he would be overstepping his executive authority if he did such a thing without congressional approval?
As I said, I don't have any specific announcements or details on that front at this
Has
point.
the White House counsel informed him that, notwithstanding that tweet that he put out over the weekend, it may be unconstitutional to do what the president is contemplating?
The president would certainly work with White House counsel to make sure any action he takes is fully within his rights and his executive authority. Fred?
Could you give us a few specific ways in which the president is still considering having Mexico pay for the wall? I think a lot of the base is wondering, and a lot of his supporters have come out and asked questions. People such as Ann Coulter have said that the president is not keeping his promise on this. So I'd like to ask you, what ways is he considering to have Mexico pay for the wall?
When we have an announcement on that, I'll let you know. John?
Yeah, Sarah, the president in the last few weeks has reached out to a number of high-profile lawyers to take him on as a client in the Russia probe. Dan Webb took a pass recently, Ted Olson took a pass recently, others have as well. I'm wondering why the president has had so much trouble finding an experienced lawyer willing to take him on, and who at this hour is his lead counsel in negotiating with Robert Mueller and the special counsel?
Look, the president has a highly qualified team with several individuals that have been part of this process, Ty Cobb, Jay Sekulow. For specific details on any search process outside of the White House, I would refer you to his outside counsel.
His lead counsel now.
I would refer you
That's how it
to
works for the White House.
outside of the White House. I would refer you to Jay Sekulow, who can address any detailed questions on that front. Jordan?
Thanks, Sarah. Jared Kushner's attorney said yesterday that the White House counsel had conducted an investigation into loans that were given by companies, executives you met with. They cleared him, said no issues were involved. Can you confirm that there was an investigation and that the counsel's office cleared those loans?
While the White House counsel's office does follow up with staff to assist with compliance with various ethics standards, it is not probing whether Jared Kushner violated the law. The White House indicated to OGE that we are aware of news reports and would proceed as appropriate. Beyond that, we do not and will not have any further comment.
One follow-up, though. Democrats on the Oversight Committee requested some information on this investigation today. Do you plan to comply with that request?
As I just said, the White House is not probing whether Jared Kushner violated the law, and we don't have anything further beyond that front.
Sarah, yesterday Raj was careful to say that the meeting with Kim Jong-un would happen in the next couple of months. In some months, does the White House still stand by its May deadline for that meeting between the president and Kim Jong-un?
We are continuing to move forward. The offer was extended and accepted, and we're continuing to move forward in that process. We still don't have a set time or date on that front.
Where
Thanks
does the
so much,
president
guys.
stand
Have a
on
great day.
police-involved shootings that have been in the news lately, Sarah? Where does the president stand on the police-involved shootings?